Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cheddar and today we are creating a Tasmanian Devil habitat. In our next episode we'll be introducing another animal, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. If you are interested in viewing prior episodes of my EcoLife Zoo, be sure to click the card above. I do also want to warn y'all that I am a bit sick right now, so if I sound a little stuffy, that's why. Now, with that being said, let's get right into the video. So I started out by creating a proper food stand as well as creating a layout for the habitat off screen. Funny enough, I had a plan for this habitat and it just went right out the window, and hey, that's okay. The area that I made was just too small for the animals, honestly. My initial design could fit about 4 Tasmanian Devils and around 2 Joeys. Normally these animals can have 1 to 4 Joeys at a time in the game, so this just wasn't gonna cut it. And in case you didn't know, because I didn't, baby Tasmanian Devils are called Joeys because they are marsupials. So this means their babies live in a pouch for the first few months. With all that being said, I just had to make the habitat bigger. So most of what you are watching right now is just past me trying to come up with a plan while absolutely fighting for my life. These barriers were awful to work with, and this is why I should just stick to my custom barriers, honestly. Funny enough, the barriers I had issues with were removed later on. I mainly wanted to keep this in to show that Planet Zoo is all about trying stuff and seeing if it works. Most of this gets cut out of videos, and I just really wanted to show that I have plenty of issues in the game, so if you do too, you are not alone. So for this section of the zoo in particular, I'm planning on filling it with Australian animals. Most of the items I will be using for this area are specifically going to be from the Oceania and Australia pack. Now, if you have any name suggestions for our Tasmanian Devils, maybe even our quokkas, or a future animal, leave them down in the comments and we can definitely make it happen. And speaking of quokkas, while I was waiting on some research to be completed, I was met with not 1, but 2 little surprises. Our first new baby is Anala. Her parents are Potato and Bonseal. Our second baby was born at the same time and her name is Bonsai. Her parents are Chai and Tucker. If you're interested, this is our current quokka family tree. Feel free to pause and take a look. Now that we've had a break to see our cute little quokkas, let's get right back into the speed build. Sorry about that, guys. I was rudely interrupted by my girlfriend. But anyways, so I began working on our devil house. I wanted to do something different for this space, so I went with this awesome green color and started building out my vision. Initially, this building was going to be significantly smaller, but that changed very quickly. As y'all can see, this building connects to our food stalls, which I feel makes everything feel quite connected rather than being super spaced out. This circular area on the left is actually a hidden bathroom. I feel like it's super subtle and a really nice way to make use of that space. I also changed out the roof because I really wasn't feeling the vibe of the rusty kind of one after I placed it. And my roofing strategy was just... Let me just read the notes I put for this part. Make triangle equal pretty building. So I don't know what I was thinking then, but that's what you should do in your habitats. Triangles equal pretty. Anyways, from here I filled in all the gaps so the building was actually complete and I could admire my pretty triangles. Of course, I forgot I have to, fill in the inside of the building, so I temporarily deleted a few of the roof tiles so that I could actually see what I was doing. Pro tip, complete the inside of your building before you add a roof. Your life will be 10 times easier. Don't be like me. So for the backstage area, I took the barriers I made for the quokka area and just reused them. Those literally took me so long and I was not about to do that again. I then just used the actual habitat gate as a door, which in my opinion was 11 out of 10, and just filled in the gaps around it accordingly. Off camera, I'm gonna add more details to this area, but for now, I feel like we have the base down. In case y'all are wondering, this took me roughly 4 hours to complete. I cut a lot of the unnecessary bits out just so it was more digestible for y'all. Some of my builds come to me instantly and others just take time. If you're feeling unsure, just go for an idea and work from there. Which, speaking of, I went for my idea and it just wasn't working for me. I adjusted the outside area for probably 30 minutes and it wasn't it. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like how it looked. And due to this, I just took a step back and came in with a fresh idea. So I ended up creating a semi-indoor viewing area for our guests so I could expand the habitat, and honestly, it just completes the build. I started from square one in my building process and created a layout for how I wanted everything to be set up. I kept debating how to build the viewing area, and ultimately, I just made myself go for it. Strangely enough, I built the roof before building most of the walls so I could have an idea of just how this area would look. I also knew exactly what I wanted, so I just went ahead and did it. It made me feel more confident in my idea by just doing the simple task first. From here, I filled in the surrounding walls to give myself just a better idea of how the space would look. And as y'all know, I love to jump around, so I began working on the fence. So I built a fence surrounding the rest of my habitat, then thought, wait, I can make this better. So I deleted one part of the fencing so I could create another viewing area. I took the same idea I had earlier and just recreated it here. Making this habitat bigger is just going to save so much time later on. I used to build my habitats right at the limit of space the animals could have, and it would lead to my habitats being overcrowded due to breeding, and I just couldn't ethically house all of my animals. Now, I learned my lesson from the quokka habitat, and this time I fixed my barriers before bringing in my Tasmanian Devils. Of course, also check that your animals can't escape just in case after you bring them in. So after I completed the fencing, I went right back to finishing the viewing area. At this point, I just had a box to work with, so we had to jazz it up a bit. I added in these logs from the Australia pack, and these were the equivalent of wall trim for me. I absolutely love how it turned out. This area was definitely out of my comfort zone based on the different items that I used. I normally stick with the same few colors, same items, so I really wanted to bring myself out of my shell, and I feel like I did that. Now, I don't have much to say about this premium wall trim, so I wanted to ask y'all a question. What do you normally do when playing Planet Zoo? Do you just sit back and play, or maybe do you have something on in the background? I personally love to listen to YouTube videos as well as audiobooks while I play. I'm a big fantasy book lover and I am impatiently waiting on Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros to come out. Y'all let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button. So from here I began to create a sign for our habitat. This is such a simple way to fill in a space and it is just so satisfying to make these signs in my opinion. I do wish we had more decal options, but I'm going to explore some items made on the workshop and maybe potentially make my own custom items so that we can add them into our zoo. Speaking of custom items, I'm currently working on a map of our zoo so we can have custom boards around the park. And I hope y'all are excited for that because I definitely am. Also, editing Chasta here. I know that I spelled Tasmanian wrong, okay? I'm just a human. It's fixed by the end of the video, I swear. Now that I've cleared that up, it is time to introduce our new Tasmanian Devils. First up, we have Kari, and she's quite energetic. And second, we have Jarly, who I would say is quite chill. Now that we have our little devils in, it's time to get right back into building. Now from here, I began filling in our scenery. These guys can have up to 100% coverage, so I went absolutely crazy with my foliage. I started off by adding in various trees that I felt would fit the space. Placing foliage in your habitat is all about just going based on vibes. It normally does not look good until you're finished. And after placing these trees, I lined the barrier with bushes and various foliage to make it feel quote-unquote full. Now you may be thinking, Cheddar, why did you add in your devils before finishing the scenery? I mean, they're not going to be happy. So first off, I do this so that I can grab at least 2 batches of animals from the trade center. As you may or may not know, the trade center constantly has animals flowing in and out of it, so it's important to get the best animals when you can. So after I bring in my first batch of animals, I work on the scenery, and then I come back to the trade center. This gives it time to properly refresh and bring in new, better animals. Now, second, I do this so that I can make sure I am setting up the proper environment for my animals. I mean, how can I know exactly what they want if they're unable to tell me? And the third reason I do this is so that my vet can go ahead and start research on whatever animal I'm bringing into the zoo. If the animal is not in your zoo, then your vets can't research them. Staying up to date on your vet research ensures that your animals are not only happy, but also healthy. Not to mention, your education level in your zoo will increase as you complete this vet research. Now, let me get off my soapbox and explain exactly what I'm doing here. So, in my zoos, I find it important to visualize where I believe my animals will travel in the habitat. To make paths, I use soil to make it look like the animals have walked through these areas plenty of times. I feel this detail can add so much to your zoo. And it's just such a simple way to make a build feel more complete. While I was adding in these paths and foliage, I also went ahead and added in our food areas and the few enrichment items I had unlocked. At this point, I was mainly focused on actually making the animals happy and adding in as many details as possible. Now, if y'all have any suggestions for how I can improve my habitats, I'm always happy to listen. When I stare at an area for ages, I tend to overlook so many details that could improve my builds. And with that being said, I also want y'all to remember that whenever you're playing, it's your zoo, no one else's. Feel free to make the most realistic or chaotic zoo if you wish. Maybe even merge those concepts and see where it takes you. So after I completed this, I took some time off camera to make any minor modifications to our habitat and the surrounding area. After doing this, it was time to check out the trade center to get 2 more Tasmanian Devils. Now, our third new Tasmanian Devil is Nula, who is quite a tamed male, and our 4th Quokka is Leonarda, and she is quite the character. Now, to finish us off, let's get into the Devil montage. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to keep up with EcoLife Zoo, subscribe so you don't miss it. In our next episode, we'll be introducing some brand new animals to our zoo. Alright, I will see y'all in the next one. Bye guys.